Y grabando, FENcast grabando, otro episodio en tiempos de cuarentena, otro episodio con un artista que descubrí gracias a Instagram, un artista que primordialmente es visual. La pueden conseguir bajo el nombre Garabados, como si fuese garabatos, pero con D, en Instagram. Adriana López, ¿cómo estás, chica?
Hola, buenas, estoy bien agradecida de que me contactaste. I think what you're doing here is really cool, like inviting local artists to talk. That's super chilling.
Gracias, chica, gracias. En verdad, la meta es documentar y try to help people out. So, yeah. So, nada, vamos directo al grano. First off, para la gente que no sepa, quién tú eres y qué haces en el mundo de las artes visuales.
Okay, pues soy Adriana López. Mayormente me enfoco en ilustraciones con character design, sort of, I would say. Pero también me gusta live sketching and urban sketching. I kind of just do it for fun for now, but I also sometimes do commissions, and yeah, I'd say that's basically what I do.
Okay. Noté que también en tu profile por lo menos decías zines. ¿Estabas trabajando en zines o estás trabajando en uno? ¿Qué es la que hay?
See, I have done zines a few years back. I really like them, and I really want to do more. But currently, I don't have any out, but I have a lot of ideas that I'm working on. Pero sí, I love zines a lot.
Awesome. ¿De qué eran, si se podría saber?
They're mostly zines, like zines about personal stuff. I guess sort of similar to just ranting about how you feel about certain topics and some life situations, and I'd say more or less that. Aunque I'm also interested in talking about certain things in like alternative lifestyles and such, so that's also an interest of mine.
Okay, awesome. Cuando menciona alternative lifestyles, anything in particular?
I really like eco-friendliness in every way it can manifest, whether it be through slow fashion or clean eating, DIY, anti-capitalist stuff, mostly. That's what I'd say.
Awesome. So, para la gente que no sepa, o si algún viejo llega a escuchar esto, pues maybe pensarán, pues esta muchacha es hardcore punk vegana. Are those some influences by any chance?
Oh, for sure. I actually tried veganism a few years back. I really liked it, but empezaron las navidades en Puerto Rico, but I really appreciate a lot of those movements, what they stand for. So I'm getting into it.
Nice. Te entiendo full. Yo no soy como que un punk de hacerme un mohawk ni nada la cosa, pero practico mucho de lo que practica la cultura. Por ejemplo, DIY, self-promo, straight edge, ciertas cosas.
Nice. See, there's a lot to learn. A lot of people, I guess, they kind of categorize it as like sometimes a bit too aesthetic, and there's a lot of it that's very expressive and that's really cool.
Yeah, o si no, mucha gente lo pichea simplemente porque es música fuerte y no tiene nada que decir. Pero if they look deep inside, pues se pueden encontrar cosas importantes o al favor de uno, positivas.
Sí, literal. And they were a lot of them were very much behind a lot of big movements in both politics and socially, so really cool.
Exacto. No, es que también hasta cierto punto, si no fuese por esos punks, sabe Dios cómo sería el media landscape ahora, que todo el mundo is trying to make their own thing.
For sure.
Yeah. So, viendo tu trabajo, como tú bien mencionaste, mucho es como que character design. Y algo en particular que yo he notado es que es bien colorful. So, first, ¿qué te inspiró a hacer más como que character design? Y second, why so colorful?
Well, I kind of started drawing when I was really small, so a lot of influence came from that time, and I was always metida en el library de la escuela, and I would mainly be looking at stuff like Dr. Seuss, and as you can remember, his stuff is really colorful and kind of wacky, so I feel like a lot of children's books influenced how I draw, and I guess that kind of extends to like kind of the focus in the characters como tal, rather than setting, because the settings in children's books tend to be pretty simple, you know. But I definitely would like to get more into that, but I digress. I also really like Shel Silverstein. His pen work, his line art is, I just really kind of like that organic and kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's really loose and expressive, so I'd like to think that most of my tendencies for the colorful and charactery come from children's books.
Nice. Ya que lo menciona, would you ever consider making your own children's book? Sea tú misma escribiéndolo or with the help of somebody else?
For sure. That's definitely something that I am planning on doing. It's just cuestión de like sentarme a brainstorm ideas. Because definitely that's something on my list. I remembered another artist that influenced me a lot was Richard Scarry. No sé si sabes cuál es.
No, pero maybe si me mencionaba books or shows.
Yeah, but yeah, he has a lot of books. One that comes to mind is called The Best Mistake Ever, which is, I kind of hope that's on my tombstone.
Wow.
Pero it has like this cat on a bicycle, and I feel like that kind of embodies a lot of what I try to strive for. Just a cat on a bicycle with the best mistake ever.
Would you ever get that cat on the bicycle as a tattoo?
Diablo, that sounds super cool. Maybe actually, ahora que lo dice. Yeah, probably.
Just an idea. Considéralo. Do what you wish.
For sure.
Awesome. So, ya que estamos así como que mencionando other forms that you would like to explore, mencionaste también settings. Ahora con el children's book, any other art form que te gustaría explorar en el futuro o que quizás estás explorando ahora que no había hecho antes?
Really, I can't think of any, besides zines and children's books. I've also considered comics, but I can never understand how one fits so much into little panels. Like, it freaks me out to think about how to properly use the real estate of each panel and each page. It just freaks me out. But I also really like comics. So, I mean, I like the idea of making a comic. Maybe once I start, I wouldn't like it. But I don't know. It fascinates me.
But I'm not a comic book expert, pero maybe start off with some tirillas, like 3-panel ones, a ver qué puedes hacer y después expand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A ver qué se puede hacer, you know? Experiment. Eso es lo que se puede hacer.
For sure.
Ya que estamos hablando de comics, algunos en particular que tú dirías que son como que los que... Your top 3, your top 5?
Wow. There's one called Blankets by Craig Thompson. Ese me afectó mucho. Like, it's really emotional. It's like a slice of life, and I really love slice of life, and just mundane, like things that have to do with the mundane. I'm not really into fantasy settings or things of that manner, which is kind of funny because I guess the wacky characters that I like to draw, I feel like it kind of gives off an impression of fantasy, but at the same time I like applying just real things. I don't know how to explain, but so yeah, definitely Blankets by Craig Thompson. I forget the name of this one, but it's by the guy that drew Adventure Time. He made a comic, and it had it was like a anthology.
Duncan Trussell?
I don't, huh?
Duncan Trussell?
I think so. I don't remember.
Pichea, sí.
I really don't remember. Yeah. And a third one, I might say. Yeah, I'm drawing blanks here. I'll get back to you if I think of something.
Yeah, don't worry. Ya que mencionamos a Adventure Time, would you also, si se diera la oportunidad, would you consider, aunque sea hacer como que character design or storyboards for shows or movies?
Yeah, actually, I went to Atlantic momentarily to study animation, but I wasn't completely certain about. I didn't know that they only focused on 3D animation because I like 2D animation only. So once the classes got into the 3D stuff, I really didn't like it at all. So that's the only reason why I got out. But if it had a curriculum with 2D art, it's possible I would be doing that now because I really do enjoy animation. Yeah.
Nice. So si me fuese a decir top 3 animated shows y top 3 animated movies. Incluye también anime, por si te gusta el anime.
Well, going off anime, Madoka Magica is amazing. I really love how the witches are animated, that it kind of looks like mixed media and cutouts, kind of by hand. Second movie that comes to mind is Ponyo.
Beautiful.
I love the colors and the shapes and everything moves so elastic. It's super beautiful to look at. And let me think of another one. I just keep thinking of Ghibli as Spirited Away. Of course.
All good options. So está bien, don't worry.
Huh?
All good options, en verdad, don't worry.
And I saw one recently called On This Corner of the World. It's on, I think it's still on Netflix. That one also had really beautiful animations. So.
Is that anime or American animation?
I think it's anime. It's because it's a historical fiction. Well, it's not quite fiction. It's based off of the events of World War II through the eyes of people who lived in the rural areas that were affected. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's anime.
Okay. Y entonces, animated shows?
Shows, well, it's funny because I feel like what influenced me the most in terms of shows were actually shows that had puppets in them, so not quite drawn shows. Because, I mean, I did watch a lot of, early season SpongeBob and, all of the 90s Nicktoons, como tal, so I feel like those did influence me a ton. But when I think about, at heart, what I really end up going back to is shows like Bear in the Big Blue House and Between the Lions and this really weird one that was on like some VHS being random in like the corner of a Blockbuster. That was called The Adventures of Timmy the Tooth. It's just this super weird puppet show about a tooth and his pet brush, and they just kind of go at it every day, doing their thing. And I don't know why, as a kid, I was always really fascinated by just puppets talking to me. I feel like I took it really personal, like they were actually speaking to me. So I feel like that kind of feeling of curiosity influences me a lot, of like feeling like something's coming at you, like it's talking to you, but at the same time, anything could happen. I don't know if I'm explaining very well.
No, yeah, don't worry, está bien. Very interesting, though. So would you ever consider doing something related with puppets?
Yeah, I think that's super cool. Actually, the series of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, that was on YouTube.
Oh, yes. Por favor.
Sí,
Let's go.
Like, I loved it so much. And honestly, yeah, like, I really love things that are very, like, manual, like, practical effects and making things by hand. Even paper mache, working with fabrics, textures. And I also love the contrast of something being really funny but really scary at the same time. I feel like that's always the things that most stick with me, like that most disturb me, is when something is trying to be cute but there's something beneath it. I feel like that's the scariest things.
Yeah, obligado. I mean, hay una razón por la cual in the 80s people were afraid of the gremlins, even though, you know, wasn't that big of a thing, so.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, in the movie, the Poltergeist, there's this one scene that this guy's looking in the mirror and his face starts falling off. But it's funny because it's obviously like a fake face, like somebody made it out of Play-Doh or something, and it's just falling off.
Yeah.
But for some reason, to me, visually, like knowing that it's fake creeped me out even more. I don't know why. So even though it aged really poorly, the scene, it actually makes it scary. I don't know why.
Yeah. I guess que you can call it movie magic, as they say.
For sure. Wasn't movie magic what happened to the people who were a part of that movie, though, pero esos son otros 20.
No, yeah, obligado. So, esto ya quizás pues más como que más out there, pero if you had that opportunity of working with puppets y you know, asumo que you also admire like the work en películas como The Thing y cosas así.
Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought about like actually pursuing it in the career sort of way, past like just putting things together in a garage. But for sure, like practical effects, like Spielberg-y and Cronenberg stuff, así, that'd be super dope. Pero pues entonces uno tendrá que like mudar para afuera para estudiar eso, me imagino, ¿verdad?
Maybe, I mean, no me estaría raro que en YouTube haya muchos tutoriales de cómo hacer like the basics. But en verdad que I don't think que obligatoriamente habría que hacerlo. Cause, por ejemplo, una película like the first two Evil Dead no tenían como que the biggest resources and they managed to do something good.
Tienes razón. True.
Pero if you want to do the exploding head from scanners, pues ya son otros 20. ¿Sí?
That sounds like fun.
Lo haces como el video ese viejo de YouTube de las mentas esas con la Coca-Cola.
Yeah, actually, the Evil Dead even saying like the last scene that it's kind of stop motion mezclado con practical stuff. That's super cool.
También. Yeah, el monstruo ese. So, you know, hoy día, as I've talked in the past con muchos de los que he entrevistado. So many YouTube tutorials que sabes si uno puede aprender a través de YouTube y ya. Pero, with that being said, mencionaste ahorita que algunas de tus inspirations fueron, as a kid of course, Dr. Seuss, me mencionaste que puppet shows que estabas viendo. Pero te pregunto entonces, más reciente, like, ¿qué artistas te han inspirado o qué shows o qué películas te han inspirado?
Well, more recently, I'd say like la misma gente que están aquí en like the art scene de Puerto Rico me inspira un montón. I feel like I see their art and there's like so much potential and different things that they explore, and I feel like that mostly what influences me, because I'm not really one to watch a lot of Netflix or TV or get into things I see or like fandoms. So I mainly look towards other artists como tal around. So some that come to mind are Soda Pop Comics, Sleepy Eye, CJ, Curvy Shapes. Sure, there's a lot more in my head. But I am drawing blanks again. Pero sí, I would definitely say just the local artists inspire me un montón, because most of my influences come from many years ago.
Gotcha. Ya que menciona local artists, perfect segue to the next question. Ya que tú estuviste estudiando un tiempo en Atlantic, ahora estás doing your own thing, ves por las redes varios de los artistas que están activos. Asumo que en el pasado quizás fuiste para eventos presenciales. Te pregunto cómo ves la escena y are there any artists that you would want to collaborate, maybe?
Well, the scene I feel like is very booming, I feel right now. And it's really unfortunate that we all have to go through quarantine and rather all the events had to be canceled. But I feel like in some way it brought a lot of artists a bit closer, since now the main ways we can connect with each other is, I mean, I guess nothing can compare to like an actual event and seeing everyone. But seeing as though you always have your phone with you, your iPad, and you always see their art, and you can comment, send messages, and call people, and think about ideas. And a lot of times when we are by ourselves, we start creating and making art as like a comfort, and also just a way to create something out of nothing. And so I feel like in that sense, the art community, even though we're going through this quarantine, I feel like it's really sort of blossoming, and I see a lot of support, and I think that's really cool. And as far as collaborating with other artists, for sure, like in general, I've actually been really interested lately in inking and coloring art. So honestly, like if anybody wants to have their art inked or colored or in that sort of collab way, I'm super up for it. I love coloring. As you could tell on my page, I love colors in general. So honestly, I'm really open to anybody who wants to try that out. I find it super fun y sería bien cool.
Awesome. Ya que mencionas que you're into coloring and whatnot, not such a smooth transition, but still, fuck it. Let's talk about your creative process. Por lo regular, I mean, I know que para cada pieza it is always different, pero por lo regular, do you have like a process that you go through? Like, tienen la idea set and you start doing it, or do you improvise? Do you have music in the background? Do you like to stay silent? Do you do it in the day, in the dark? And second, la cuarentena. how has it affected the creative process?
Well, for sure, the quarantine has affected the process in such that I can't go live sketching people anymore because, one, there's no crowds, or if there are, I definitely don't want to be there. And two, everyone's wearing masks and everyone does things quickly to get out of the places there are, which as they should. So I can't do that anymore. Also, drawing buildings, tampoco como que me animo mucho, like putting on the mask and going out urban sketching, so I can't really do that anymore. In terms of my creative process, it usually tends to be spontaneous. I just kind of feel like drawing something, so I'll just start, doodling, and then I might see something I like, and then, let me try drawing this again, or maybe fixing this or that. So then I'll go back and edit it and look at it, and sometimes I end up going back to doodles that I drew a long time ago that I find in a sketchbook, and I'm like, why didn't I do anything with this guy? He's cool. So I'll just revisit some things. But it usually isn't me thinking like, what will I draw today? I'm going to draw a rabbit with Heelys, and then I sit down and draw a rabbit with Heelys. It's usually kind of improvised. Usualmente dibujo por la tarde, no sé por qué. Maybe in the morning, at night, I'm just burned out all the time. And as for music, I don't like listening to music when I'm focusing on something like studying or drawing, because I get carried away and I can't focus on two things at once. So I normally prefer silence, but when I'm coloring, since it's a lot more straightforward, then I will listen to music.
Okay, got you. Entiendo. I mean, it's different for everybody. Y en verdad que te entiendo que quarantine has been a big blow for a lot of people. Ya a mí para el principio, a mí en el principio pues I was like, I don't know, aprovechando el tiempo, pero últimamente I don't know if it's because of my job or la cuarentena or both, que como que se está yendo, I guess, la musa como le dicen, pero I guess que I gotta plow through it, por ponerlo así.
Yeah, it's really been hard for everyone, pero I mean, honestly, kudos to you for like being so encima de like las cosas que te gustan, like the podcast and your writing y todo lo que estás haciendo, like está bien a fuego. So I feel like more people should, feel kind of inspired by even though everything's kind of slow and quiet, como que uno debe create something out of nothing and keep thriving. So, yeah.
Obligado, poco a poco.
Sí.
Ya que estamos hablando de eso, like people should continue doing projects and what have you. Are you doing anything new right now, or are you doing stuff for a class? Digo, are you still a student? ¿O ya tú te graduaste? What's up?
I'm not a student right now. I'm going to be starting a job soon. As for projects, I do really want to write a children's book. And I have a few people that want some illustrations, so I'm also working on that along with the zines. So it's mainly just personal projects for now. Pero sí.
Awesome. Ya estamos casi cerrando, so first off, social media, where can people contact you?
Instagram, garabados, garabados with a D. That's the only place I'm on right now.
Perfect. Entonces, last question, something fun that can be a little difficult sometimes. Se la jugué a Snoop Dogg, te la hago a ti with a few modifications. Imagínate que estás en una isla desierta and you only have 3 forms of entertainment: an animated movie, an animated series, and a book, que sea, it could be a comic book, un manga, a graphic novel, un libro de arte, but it has to be algo con animación o lo que sea.
That's a tough one. That's really hard. Animated movie, I'd say Spirited Away, because that's my favorite one. A show, Diablo, just so that I could trip out and just get super faded, I'd probably take The Adventures of Timmy the Tooth. I'm sure if you looked it up, you'll understand. And a book, I think I would probably take The Best Mistake Ever by Richard Scarry.
Of course, no puede faltar, no puede faltar. Perfect. Solid choices, solid choices.
Yeah, Timmy the Tooth is lit.
That's good, that's good. Chica, first off, thank you for saying yes for the interview. Segundo, hand sanitizer, alcohol, mask, safe distancia, you know, stay safe.
Sí. Yeah, pues gracias a ti, and yeah, everybody please stay safe. This isn't over yet, unfortunately, but it's really rough, pero we can get through it with the right protocols.
Obligado, obligado. Third, pa'lante, siempre pa'lante. Sigue metiendo mano. And fourth, again, everybody who's listening, su nombre es Adriana López. You can find her work bajo garabados, como garabatos pero con D, on Instagram. She takes commissions. She's willing to collaborate. And check out her work. She's doing fine work. Una vez más, thank you, Adri. We're set.
Gracias a ti.